Well, what is the origin of this soil type?
Well, about 15,000 years ago, this whole area, the Finger Lakes, was covered by glaciers. And sometime after that period of time, the glaciers came in. They brought soil with them as they crept into the area. They dumped these soil types, and as the glaciers melted away, in this area and on this terroir, what was left was soil type known as Aurora and Ovid, which is dominated by silt, clay, and shale. And if you look at the soil, you'll see lots of chunks of shale mixed in with the clay. Some areas of this vineyard are a little bit more dominated by shale, and some areas are a little bit more dominated by silt, but generally speaking, lots of shale chunks in the silt and clay.
And how do you decide where to plant each variety? Do you study the soil type beforehand? Do you dig soil pits? Do you do the soil pit analysis, weather patterns? What do you do before you say, okay, here goes the Pinot, here goes the Cab?
No, I dug a lot of holes to find out the depth of the soil and the composition in particular areas. Now this is Pinot Noir here that I planted on my shallowest soil, my most, I think, limiting soil, which made sense to me for a variety like Pinot Noir. You don't want to, at least I don't want a vigorous crop of Pinot Noir. You're always fighting. They're a very prolific cluster producer, and if they haven't been damaged in the winter, you're happy that they're less vigorous sites that you've put the vines in. My Cab Franc is up closer to the winery in a little bit more vigorous soil. It's probably not perfect for Cab Franc, but it's better there for me because I can really reduce that crop aggressively, and it doesn't seem to be a detriment to that variety. I don't think I would want my Pinot Noir up there because I think they'd be too productive, and the soils are too deep up there. So shallow soils, lots more shale, a little less clay, I like for Pinot.
And if you were to compare your Pinot Noir with perhaps a benchmark for Pinot Noirs, either Carneros or somewhere in Oregon, where would you put yourself there?
Well,
close to what style, or a different terroir, completely different?
Completely different terroir, much cooler climate here, of course, which is the major contributor to the terroir outside of the soil, I think, in my area, is the weather. So the weather is completely different, and there's tremendous mildew pressure on us here. You can see this is a typical day in really November. It's a little warm right now for December, but it's typical overcast, humid, wet day, as you found out we have lots of in this area with on your bike ride.
It was pretty cold this morning.
Yeah, so you have to be pretty vigilant here compared to Carneros and Oregon as far as your spray program is concerned. And with the fact that I don't use the pre-emergent weed control, I have to stay on top of the weeds. Pinot Noir do not like to have a lot of weed competition. So I guess it's a completely different animal here. Pinot Noir and grape growing for vinifera varieties in general. It's much different.
Well, then you'll show me your barrel room, because I would like to find out, how do you use your barrels? Do you go for French oak or American oak, that oaky American style that many California wineries have, or you're going towards a more European feel?
I'm using a lot of European oak, probably, I would say about 90%, and it's usually 2- and 3-year-old oak barrels that I purchase from some of those California wineries. That once they put 1 or 2 fills in them, I buy them. Even if I did everything I always wanted to do, I would probably still use a lot of used 2- and 3-year-old barrels, because I don't want the oak and the tannins and the toast to dominate my wine. I'd like it to integrate and complement the wine, not necessarily set the style.
Perfect.